Together. Adonai Melech, Adonai Malach, Adonai Yimloch Leolam Va'ed. The Lord is King. The Lord was King, and the Lord shall be King forever and ever. You hold the universe together.
The Lord is King.
You established heaven and earth.
The Lord is King.
You created humankind in your image.
The Lord is King.
The Sephirim and all of heaven declare.
The Lord is King.
The Psalms sing out that.
The Lord is King.
Your people declare a never-ending worship.
The Lord is King.
Prayers arise continually because.
The Lord is King.
And may all our works declare.
The Lord is King.
Oh, let everything that has breath praise.
The Lord is King.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
You know, one of the challenges for us raising children, and for rabbis and pastors raising children, is not to lean on our own flesh, but still, again, to do whatever we could possibly do in this flesh. To somehow communicate, model, and create an environment where the conditions are such that Yeshua is real to you. That He's alive in your souls and your spirits. That you are able to discern His subtleties and His presence. His being in the pool with you, as we talked about in Yom Teruah. That's the challenge. If you come here on Shabbat and you're doing it out of ritual, then I have failed. But it's somehow, some way that I can convey, in some way that I can beseech upon the Lord whatever is required to bring Him into an awareness of your life, then I've accomplished what I've been called to do. Because if that happens, then Yeshua is truly alive in your hearts, and the thirst will be real, and the hunger will be real when you come to Shabbat. That is my mission, that is my goal. That you will know, as I have, that discernible and without debate present of the Lord. I can't make that happen for you. I can share with you my personal testimony and witness. I can give you examples in the Word. I can bring others into your company that will explain to you the best of their ability when they had that special touch from the Lord. They knew it was Him and it could be nothing else. I can do that. But until that happens for you personally, all you can do is wonder, desire, hope. Well, my prayer today is that will be a reality for you today. And I'm not going to do it with fancy light shows and impressive technology. I'm not going to do that with the latest worship team coming into town and jacking you up. I'm not going to do that with all kinds of emotionalism and promises that I can't personally fulfill, but certainly attempt to impose upon the Lord to fulfill. I won't do that. I'll simply just say that what you ask for in His name will be given to you, so your joy will be complete. And that is something that you have to ask for and desire. And I can assure you that's one of God's favorite prayers to answer for you. He wants to be real in your life. He wants to be valued in your life. He wants to be desired and invited. ask. Bless the Lord, my soul, oh my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul, and I'll worship Your holy name. Sun comes up, it's a new day dawning. It's time to sing a song again. Whatever may last and whatever lies before you, let me be singing when the evening comes. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul, worship Your holy name. My lips in love, and my soul to anger. Your name is great, and Your heart is kind. For all Your goodness, I will keep on singing. 10,000 reasons for my heart to find. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul, worship Your holy name. On that day when my strength is failing, the end draws near and my time has come. Still my soul will sing Your praise unending. 10,000 years and forevermore. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul, worship His holy believe you are all I need. I believe you're my portion. I believe you're more than enough for me. You are your all I need. You hold my every and you can call my raging sea. You walk with me through fire. Heal my disease. And I trust in you. And I trust in you. I believe you're my healer. I believe you are all. I believe you're my portion. I believe you're more than enough for me. Shuvah, you're all I Nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible for you. You hold my world in your hands. Nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. You sure you mean that? No, are you really serious? Do you really mean that? Do you understand the consequences of saying that? No, do you really understand? No, I mean, do you really understand what you're saying? How many of us will have Shuvah show up? And many things that we thought we were right on about were right off. Many of us were so certain in our condition before the Lord to come to the reality we weren't all we thought we were. All the things that we thought we had all figured out, like today's going to be the end of the world, right? Right? We laugh, but there are people who take us seriously. Because I could bump up a few days ago to the eclipse, and I could back up to the blood moons, and I could back up throughout history. How many Michael Root's people have predicted end times, you know? I mean, the list is endless throughout history. Throughout history, there are groups who make their predictions and then in the end go, oops, recalculate like your GPS is. In our arrogance, do we really think that we want to stand before the Lord? In our pride, do you think we really want to stand before the Lord? In our fallenness, do we think we really want to stand before the Lord? I tell you what, I know what it is to sit on a witness stand next to a judge. That's a scary place to be when you look over and that man's going to make a decision about the rest of your life and everything that means and values, that means everything to you. And I don't think there's anything out there that's more valuable to any of us than the condition of our soul in eternity.
That's right.
And I can tell you those times, I know when I was sitting next to that judge, I was darn glad I had the best lawyer in town. And I can tell you, you'll be glad that you have the best advocate in town as well. Because you're all going to need it, and I'm going to need it as well. And so, yes, I want him to come soon. I do. I wish it would be right now. But I also understand what that's going to involve. And I'm going to be accountable for quite a bit. And all the times I thought I was right, I'm going to find I'm wrong. And I'm going to look at the condition of my soul, my house, my children, and I'm going to be sitting there thinking, gosh, I could have done better. I wish I would have done this before you came. I wish I would have had this in order before you came. We don't have that sense of anxiousness anymore, that sense of anticipation or expectation. And even if I thought I had it all right in my life, no doubt the perfect will come and show me how far away from it I really am and how desperate I am for His grace and love. I don't say that out of meanness. This is the season of awakening. And we got to continue to emphasize that. Because as our thoughts and our minds wander, as we get so drawn up in the moments of life, we forget that our end is imminent as well as His return is imminent. I go today to a funeral to a man that's a mentor and shepherd of my life. Now, if I figure this out correctly, I got 13 years left. If I lived as long as Bishop. And that's, for some of you that are a little longer in the tooth even than me, you start to think about those things. You start to think about the seriousness of your relationship with the Lord and seriousness of your relationship with each other. That's what Shuvah and these Amim Norim are all about. We're in awesome days. Not just because it says biblically, but awesome days because of the times we live in. If there can be any more awesomeness, now's the time. Lord have mercy, we've got to get our lives and our hearts in order. And the first place is the great conditions in which the Lord wants to visit us. He wants to visit us now. We need to get our hearts right in a place where He would want to be in our company. Because I can tell you right now, I can think of a whole lot of people, and you can think of them in your head right now, that you don't want to visit you. And I bet some of them are in this congregation. Yeah, it's probably true. Oh, you love them, and you embrace them, and you say praise the Lord with them, but a lot of them you don't want in your home. And you don't want to be hanging with them. You don't. And you know I nailed it. You know I'm nailing it because the Holy Spirit's convicting all of us. So the truth be known, we need to get to a place where we want Yeshua in our company, and Yeshua wants to be in our company, that He wants to come back, and that He's not really wanting to kind of delay that process. Amen? We need to get our hearts right before Him. Amen. So, when you sing it now, sing it like with an understanding of what that really means. And that if He were to say, right now, okay, I'll come right now. What if I told you He's going to be at your house when you get home?
Hallelujah.
Are you ready? He's sitting there in your living room right now. You okay with that?
Yes.
Right? Yeah? You okay with that? Careful, you might be in for a big surprise. Where your home is in order, your life is in order, it might not be. As much as I can't think of anything, I still am concerned. I know my wife would be running out of here right now trying to clean up. Get going. Maybe that's what we should be thinking. What if I miss? What is that? Is there a dish out or something? Should have maybe got those cobwebs out of there or back there. Of course, you'd be thinking that. I know if I told you all, hey guys, everybody's coming over our house today. You know what look I get right now? Right. Yeah, I'm just spontaneously inviting everybody over today.
I'm coming.
What woman in this room is not going, yeah, we can pay for that one. But you'd be smiling the whole time, going, sure, what a great idea. And we're thinking that with Yeshua, but quite frankly, if you really knew for sure that He's going to be showing up today, I promise you'd be doing an immediate inventory of everything from brain to soul to house to children to everything, saying, what could I not get clean during this time to Shuvah? What did I not prepare for Him? Even so come, Yeshua come. Even so come, Yeshua. You know what you say to Yeshua? Because you're going to say it to every guest that comes to your house.
I love you.
Pay no attention to that mess. Pay no attention to the mess that's called my life. That's what you do. You apologize. Because we're all going to do it. We're going to apologize for the conditions of our life. We're going to apologize for the condition of our home. We're going to apologize. And God is forgiving God. And if He knows you're seriously contrite in your heart, then that repentance and that forgiveness will come. I know it's not as what you really want it to be when I come back. So many people don't come to faith in Shuvah because why? Well, because they got to clean up some things in my life. We're never clean enough. Our house is never in order enough. Our spirits are never right enough. That's why we bring an emphasis back to Yeshua and His saving grace and His deliverance. That's why it's so important. See, Michelle's on her way to clean something up right now. But that's the right spirit. Amen? Rise up. Go greet your neighbors this morning. Show them some love.
It's good to see you. You're good.
Shabbat Shalom. Come back to an appearance of semblance of order here, and we'll continue on with our worship service this morning. There are a number of circumstances and situations going on throughout our own community, our own gathering of people. So I wish that you would lift those situations up in prayer, that they come to a God-given end, and with His leadership and guidance, that we can bring those things to a conclusion and bring some semblance of order. We are in what is considered the highest of the high holy days, as we are going through worship services, and there are some specific dates that we want you to bear in mind and to be a part of, and be here to celebrate together. There's nothing better than the gathering of fellow believers and worshiping as He has directed us to worship and to come together. Immediately following service today, as we leave here, don't head to the Nosh Hall, head to your vehicles. We're going to go right down the street down here to the park, and we're going to do our Tashlik service right down there immediately following. So get there as quickly as possible. You heard Rabbi say that he has a funeral that he has to get to this morning, right immediately following service. So we want to do this as quickly as possible so he can be for that and then depart for that. We will come back from that service there to our Kiddush and Oneg here at the Fellowship Hall. So as quickly as possible, avoid as much conversation as possible, do that later, get down to the park so we can have that, so that they can be free to go to that funeral service. As we look to the coming week, again, as I said, we're on the highest of the high holy days. It is also the busiest of the holy days because there are services that come right back to back one to another. Next Saturday, there will be no Oneg, there will be no Kiddush, because on Friday evening, we begin with Yom Kippur, and it'll be the Kol Nidre service on Friday evening. And immediately following that, from the close of that service until the close of the following service on the, it won't be the following service, because we have a Sabbath in there in the meantime. So from Friday evening until Saturday evening, when we come back for a Saturday night service, for the Nilah service, then we will go and break the fast together. So there's fasting from sundown Friday until after the service on Saturday evening, and then we'll break the fast together. But there's also a worship service in the midst of there next Saturday morning at 10. So Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday night, be here, rest up for a couple days, and then come back on Wednesday. Because then we will start and go into Sukkot. And we'll be fellowshipping together for that for a whole week. So bear those dates in mind, mark them on your calendar, cancel all other commitments, and be here to worship with us in those things. Remember also, Beit Midrash today is postponed. Remember Saturday mornings at 9 o'clock. Come in and be a part of the prayer service, the intercessory prayer service, to get things in order for our worship service. And dance practices are on Thursday night. God bless. Yes.
Okay, can we discuss when we're putting up the sukkah?
Yes, we can. Right now.
What?
We don't really have an awful lot of opportunity. It'll have to be that Sunday, probably.
That's what I'm thinking.
The Sunday right before. So add that to your sequence of days. So on Saturday, Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday night, and Sunday. We'll be back to
You should
set
just
up.
stay here. We'll just sit here. We'll be fine. Hang out.
Yes, we do need some help to get that set up, put it together, and make for light work. And so,
They brought from the stores. They brought from the stores. We need a trade.
yes. Oh, they're in storage. That's right. I can bring a pickup over too. That we can talk about on a pickup. Matter of fact, that might be easier because it's more confined to get that back in. We decided where we're going to put it specifically.
Yes.
Back behind.
Go to shed.
Okay, right where the shed was, right back behind the sanctuary here is where we'll set it up on the grass. So we need some help. God bless.
Hallelujah. God. Hallelujah. As you know, we follow the Torah, specifically the first 5 books in our yearly reading cycle. And this particular portion, Ha'azinu, has within it what is known as the Song of Moses. So, obviously, it's already being sung in tongues right now. And they sing the song of Moses, son of God, and the song of the Lamb, sing great and marvelous are your words. Song of Moses,